Well, over the years, from rummage sales and thrift stores, I managed to pick up quite a few different little appliances that run off of these 1 pound propane cylinders. Well, it's kind of handy because they're very portable. It's one of them things that in a great disaster are very handy to have, either a natural disaster or a man-made one. Though a lot of countries, they actually use butane for cooking, but here it's propane. Works for heating, cooking, and lighting. It's a very versatile fuel. But these little propane cylinders can be fairly expensive. And I noticed a funny thing starting about a month ago, they simply weren't available anymore. I checked in a few different stores. I was just curious. I was going to pick up another 4-pack, and all of a sudden they just weren't available. So it got me looking in other places to see what the problem was, and I really couldn't find them. I did finally, in a Tractor Supply Company, I saw they had a whole pallet load. They had it right up front, like, okay, we got this thing that nobody else has. Now I got horses that nobody else has. Yeah, it's time to feed. But anyway, what I was going to talk about was refilling these. Because these things could be, depending on where you're at, they could be like $6 a piece. You can end up paying a lot for them. And like I say, at the moment, they seem rather scarce. I know the one woman I talked to in the store said they hadn't been able to get them in for like a couple of months, which is odd because a lot of people like to use them now for like ice fishing. They'll have a little heater, that sort of thing. But you can refill them very cheaply. The only caveat is you cannot legally transport a refilled cylinder. Perfectly legal to refill them, but you can't transport them. Now, I don't know how they could tell. Like this is a brand new cylinder. I left a tab on it to mark. And this is one I refilled like 3 times. I don't know how you could tell. But what I've done here is I've got this zeroed. So an empty cylinder weighs that much. Well, of course, a full cylinder is going to weigh a pound. So I try to get them up to that pound. Now you have to be careful, you can get them over a pound. So like this one is slightly under a pound. But like this Coleman one, and here you're getting awful close to 1.5 pounds. And then you can get a little bit of bulgy going on. So you got to try to keep around a pound. And one thing I was going to mention, some cylinders are better than others for doing this. Like these Coleman cylinders that have the plastic bottom, I avoid them because what the plastic is covering is this bottom. And when you refill them, a lot of times that pops off, and then they don't want to sit decently. So I don't reuse these. I mean, there's no harm in it. You could do it, but they're a lighter cylinder. You can see they don't even go up to the 0 mark. So I try to use a fairly decent heavy cylinder. And the Coleman that have got that welded on, and some of these Bernzomatic, which are actually, I believe it's a Worthington Industries. They're a good solid cylinder. But the adapters to do this are not fancy. It's a coupling that goes on there. Leave them sit for half hour to 45 minutes, depending on the temperature and how much gas is in your cylinder, and they will fill up. But you can refill them for like 50 cents. Then it becomes a very economical proposition. So I'm going to fill up a dozen of them. just to have them on hand because it is always a very good fallback fuel. So I've got everything I got. I can convert. I can run them off the big tank, but it's easier with the little tanks because you have kind of a rationing option. Like with a big tank, you'd be cooking or heating, and all of a sudden, whoop, tank is out. Then you're done. These you get to know how long one will last. And I've got 6 more in reserve, so I know I can cook for so many days. That kind of thing. But it's a good thing to have as a backup to your other backups. Because like I say, heating, lighting, and cooking. Those are kind of the big 3. And when you can do it for 50 cents a pound, makes sense.